Today, I'm gonna show you guys how to bobber fish for trout in a river. I'm gonna give you guys a 5-step comprehensive deep dive into what to use, where to use it, and how to use it. And that's coming at you right now. So starting off with the materials list. So you're gonna need a rod, you're gonna need a reel with a line on it. And I'd recommend 20-pound braid, but if you don't wanna use braid and you wanna use mono main line, that's okay. Just use 8 or 10 pound. Next thing you need is 10-pound mono for a bumper. Now, if you're gonna use mono main line, you can skip that part. The next thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need a bobber. I like the littler one, that's a trout size bobber. You're gonna need size 6 bait holder hooks. I like Gamakatsu. You're gonna need number 5 split shot. I like the ones without the wings on them. You're gonna need a size 10 swivel. I have a bunch of hooks in here, but you can see they are small swivels, size 10. You're gonna need leader line. This leader line is 6-pound fluorocarbon. It's all messed up, so you can't really see it. You're gonna need a worm threader. That's like $2 at the store. And then lastly, you're gonna need worms. I like night crawlers or trout specials. Trout specials are just small night crawlers. All right, I'm gonna show you guys what rod, reel, and line combo I recommend to use. So this is a G Loomis GCX Lite and a 2000 Shimano Vanford with 20-pound braid. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a 7-foot ultralight. It's rated 2 to 6 pounds. And then the reel I like to use is a 2000 Shimano Vanford. You can use basically any 2000 or 2500 size reel. Another reel I'd recommend would be Okuma Kaimar, CMAR, however you pronounce it, but the 3000 size. The 3000 size tends to be the right size, but for most other reel companies, a 2000 or 2500, the main line I like to use is 20-pound braid. You can do 15-pound, you can do 10-pound, but I'd really recommend 20-pound. 20-pound still casts really, really well. You can get away with a little bit of a shorter rod, like a 6'6", but that's the shortest I would use. When you're out here bobber fishing, you need to be able to make mends, and sometimes you need to mend quite a bit away from your bobber, and with a shorter rod, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult. So I would recommend at least a 7-foot, and you can go up from there. All right, I'm gonna show you guys how to rig up this bobber rig. Everything from the leader to the bumper, the bobber, the swivel, all of it. So I'm gonna show you guys right now how to rig it up. Step 1 is to tie on a bumper. It's some 10-pound monofilament. I like Maxima Ultra Green. It's some strong stuff. I recommend 10-pound. 8-pound, you run the risk of losing like a $5 to $8 bobber. 12-pound is a little bit thicker. You can use thicker, but you don't really need 12-pound. I found 10-pound is the best bet. And then this is from my reel. So I have my braid coming from my reel right here. All you're gonna do is, you gotta think about what the deepest pocket you're gonna fish is. For me, in this time of year, I'm hardly ever fishing past 6 feet deep. So I'm only gonna put like a 6-foot bumper on, maybe even a 5-foot bumper. So I'm just gonna do is like, I'll just do one wingspan. For me, that's right about 6 feet. Cut that off. Now I have a 6-foot section of 10-pound mono, and now I'm gonna go ahead and connect it to my braid. So what I tie for this, it's called the Crazy Alberto knot. So what you do is you take your mono and you fold it over like this, so that way you have a loop with your tag end part on the top side of the loop. Get the little loop right here. You take your braid and you put it from the bottom side of the loop going up and over, just like this. Then you pull like 6 inches of braid tag end off. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna pinch it right here and use these fingers to wrap this braid around the mono 7 times. So that's 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 7. And then what you're gonna do is you have all these wraps right here. You're gonna pinch it right here and let go of this side. As you can see, you got all these wraps. And you're gonna take the tag end of your braid and wrap it back over 7 times. So you got 7 times down, 7 times back. And what you're gonna wanna do is aim for your braid to fall in between each wrap of the braid from the previous set. So I'm trying to get my braid right there in between the other side of the braid wraps. I don't want to stack them, I just want to go right in between them.
So that's like 6, and then this is 7. You also want to make sure that your braid is facing the same direction. So this side of the braid is going down through the loop. I don't want to put this side of the braid going up, because you'll have this side of the braid going down and this side going up. You want it on the same side. So I'm going to put this final wrap going down through the loop. That way both the braids are coming out the same side of the loop. And then you moisturize your knot. And you want to make sure you pull all 4 sections of line at the same time. What I'll do is I'll take the mono and I'll wrap it around my finger. Same thing with the braid, I'll wrap it around my finger. I'll make sure I pull it all at the same rate. Making sure to cinch it down nicely. There we go. And make sure you're pulling all 4 sections of line at the same time. Otherwise, one side of your wraps will tighten before the other half. At this point, now that it's cinched down, I'll really cinch it down, but I don't need to pull both sides at this point. I just
Really just cinch that down.
There you go. That is an incredibly strong and a really effective and low profile knot that'll slide through your guides pretty good. So now I'm going to cut my tag ends. You can cut your braid tag end a little longer. You don't want to cut your mono tag end too long, because it'll get caught in the guides and on your line as you're casting. So you want to make sure that one's actually pretty flush. Just like that. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little bit of a tag end right there. And then make sure
you save your tag ends. Here's my garbage line. I have one of these on my hip pack. It's like a little twisty thing that you put line in. I'm gonna just take these ones and toss it in my backpack. So next, I find the end of my mono bumper, and you want to use this size of bobber. Other brands make this similar size, like Phil makes them, or other companies make them. This one is a Mustad Addicted one. This is the Trout size.
These are super good. I've tried a lot of different floats, and the smaller Thill ones don't really work as well. This one is the perfect one for what I'm doing. Now all you're going to do is take these rubber surgical tubing things off the ends of the bobber, and you're going to slide one up your mono line, and then this bobber actually has a hole where your line goes through. Put your line through that. I just drop it, let it slide down, and you want to take your other surgical tubing and slide it up. So now what we have is surgical tubing, bobber, surgical tubing. Now you're going to do is, it helps to lubricate the tip of the bobber. That way this rubber slides over a little easier. And then again at the bottom. And when I'm fishing worms like this, I like to run one of the brass weights on the bobber.
Next step is a number 7 barrel swivel. I don't like snap swivels for this. It's just, there's so much going on with the snap swivel, and you don't actually need the snap part.
So what I'm doing is tying a fisherman's knot, 7 wraps through the loop, back up through, then cinch it tight. This is an old leader I'm going to cut off. Like I said, take your tag ends, take your trash line, discard of it, bring it home, throw it away, don't leave it on the river. Okay, the next step
is to put a couple split shot on the line. These are number 5 lead split shot. And I take 2 of them and I crimp them above my swivel.
I'm gonna put the split shot above the swivel on the bobber side of the swivel, just like that. I'm gonna put 2 of them. And the reason I put 2 is over the years I've found that one split shot doesn't get you down quick enough in fast water or deep holes. If you only use 1 split shot, it takes a while for it to get down. And then if you use 1 big one, I like to use
micro steelhead trout jigs that I tie. And these have lead in them. So if I only use 1 big one, 1 big split shot, then I'd have to take the weight off the bobber, and somehow it doesn't work as well when you fish a jig with the weight. So I take 2 split shots. That way I can choose if I want to put 1 in a jig or 2 in a worm. 2 in the worm is usually what I fish.
But that's what I found to be like the perfect weighting system to get worms down to the bottom to catch these Boise River trout. So 2 number 5 split shot on the bobber side of the swivel, and then I take
6-pound fluorocarbon. You can't see it, It's all damaged, but 6-pound fluorocarbon. All you do is just take probably about 18 inches, 24 inches. That's all you need. Cut it off.
And then take your swivel with your split shot on it, and you just tie another fisherman's knot. 7 wraps. And then a little trick I've found over the years for the length of the leader is I take my swivel, I put it up against that first eyelet, and I pull the line down to that little hook keeper right there. And that's like the perfect length of leader that I've found when fishing the Boise River with worms. So I'm gonna take this little excess off, cut that off, put it in my pack. The next step is a hook. The package is all worn out because I've fished it so many times, pulled so many hooks out of it. But it's a size 6 Gamakatsu bait holder hook. I don't like size 8s. They're a little too small when you're fishing a big worm. And then size 4s are just too big. You're not gonna have a good time hooking the little ones. Same knot, just a fisherman's knot, 7 wraps. And there you go. That is the full rig. Braid down to a mono bumper, the mustad addicted float, 2 number 5 split shot, a number 7 swivel, about 18 inches of 6-pound fluorocarbon down to a size 6 bait holder hook. All you gotta do is add a worm to this and catch fish. All right, I'm gonna show you guys how to put a worm on. What you wanna do is select, I like fishing a whole worm. You wanna choose a worm that's about this long or a little bit longer. These are the Trout specials, as they're called on the package. They're a little bit smaller of a night crawler. I like fishing like the actual regular night crawlers, but I've just been kind of trying out smaller ones recently. So the anatomy of the worm real quick is we have this darker section right here. That's what I call the head of it. I don't know if that's the actual head, but that's what I call it, the head. And then down here, it's a lighter color. That's what I call the tail. So we're gonna take the head, and we're gonna take our little threading needle and go from the side like this. We don't want it straight on the hook. We want it from the side like this. So I'm gonna pinch it right there, poke it through. What I felt there is a little pop. And right now I'm in the middle of the worm. If I push even further through, what you can see is that. If your needle pops through both ends of the worm, what you can do is you can slightly back out the needle and then change the angle. See what I did there is I poked the needle in from the side like this, pinching the worm. And now that the needle is in the worm, I'm going to change the angle to be more parallel with the worm. And now I'm going to slide the worm up. So keeping the worm parallel with the needle, I'm slowly just going to work the worm down the needle. And then a good detail to pay attention to is making sure the needle pops out at the end of the worm, right at the end. You don't want the worm coming off the needle like that. You don't want that. You want the worm coming off straight off the end, just like that. And then you can take your hook, and like I said, it's a hollow piece of tube, so the hook point goes in the tube. And this is a detail that a lot of people mess up on, is you want to palm the handle of this. You want this all the way in your palm. You don't want this at your fingertips because it'll make it more difficult. Put this in your palm and hold it with your palm and your thumb like that. And then what you're going to do is, you can see there's some bend in the needle there. Wrap the line around your finger. So there's a bend in the needle here, and that line is super tight. If you let this line get loose while you're threading the needle or while you're threading the worm, the line will get loose and the worm will just fall off. You want to make sure that needle stays nice and bent. You can see it's a little bit bent there, and that line stays tight. So all you're going to do is you're just going to push the worm up and then pull it down a little, and then push up, pull down, push up, pull down, and there you go. Untie your finger from your line. There you go. Now it's threaded on there and you can get to fishing. So I'm going to give you guys like 5 or 6 steps on how to actually do this, and more than just how to fish the bobber. I'm going to go into like how to find a hole, how to figure out where you're going to fish in that said hole. Starting off with step number 1 is find a hole. What you're looking for in a hole is it's shallow and fast up here, and it gradually gets deeper and deeper and slows down and gets deeper and slows down all the way down through here.
So down here, it's like 10 feet deep and super slow. Up there, it's like 2 feet deep and a little bit faster than walking speed. So that's what we're looking for, is we're looking for either a fast water and then a bucket, like a bucket being like a deep little slot, or we're looking for this where it's kind of textbook, where it's even surface, but it's faster up there and it gets deeper and slower. So that's what we're looking for. And I don't know if you can see it on this camera, but I can see bottom. Where my rod tip is, it's super shallow all through here. Like it's super slow and super shallow all through here. So right where my rod tip is at and closer is not really worth fishing, because it's just stagnant and like 2 feet or shallower. But all this water in here is deeper and deeper and deeper, and it stays a consistent walking speed for the most part. And it goes all the way from 2 feet down to 10 feet. So that's what we're looking for in a hole. Step number 2, analyze the hole. So the way you analyze the hole, as I already kind of went into it, is you find the shallow sections, you find the deep sections, you find the fast water, and you find eddies. You're looking for all these different sorts of spots where fish could sit and where they won't sit.
All right, I made it to a nice little hole here, and I can see already it's super shallow right up here against the dam, so I'm not going to be fishing that. That back corner looks actually decently deep, so I might go fish that back corner up against the dam after I fish this. I can also see there's a bunch of big snags right here in the water, but they stop right there. There's nothing really much down here as far as snags go. There's just snaggy up through here, and it's shallow, and it just doesn't look very good. So I'm not even gonna fish that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start here. I can see the water turns a little greener, which means it's a little deeper, and there's just a perfect like funnel of current, but it's not too fast right down the middle, and it's just nice and evenly deep enough. Like it's not, you know, 10 feet deep. It's not too deep right there, and it's not like a foot deep. It looks like it's about 3 feet deep or so. So I'll start there and just fish through this. And then you can see down here, there's still a nice line of current right in the middle of the river. So this is a really good looking hole, because there's a lot of water for them to be sitting in. The deepest part of the hole is probably right here, right in the middle, and then probably shallows up and stays a nice consistent speed through. So we'll definitely be able to pick up some fish down there. But right here is like the main hole we're gonna be focusing on. Step number 3, what to use. Step number 4, how to drift it. So what you want to do when you're fishing a hole is you want to methodically fish it. I'm going to start up top where it's shallow and fast, and I'm going to let my bobber drift down, and then I'm going to slowly fish with my feet. I'm going to walk down rivers slowly after fishing all the spots. All right, I'm going to explain to you guys how to actually in-depth drift. So what you're going to do is you want to do a long lobbing smooth cast, and then as your bobber's hitting the water, you want to slow your line down by grabbing it. That way your hook, your split shot, and your bobber all land in the water separately. If you just cast it out there and just let it land in the water without slowing it down, it might land in a ball and get tangled up. And then you don't want to do a short snappy cast, because that tends to send all of your gear, your split shot, your hook, all in like a twisty spirally mess as it's flying through the air, and you're just going to get more tangles doing that. I'm not going to focus on this inside stuff because I can see the bottom there, and I can see if there's a fish there or not. So I'm going to focus on where I can't see bottom anymore. And that looks to be about 1.5 feet or so deep. So I'm going to set my bobber, because I'm using a worm rig with a weightless down at the hook. I'm going to set it to about 1.5 feet or so, and this leader is going to drag behind it. Because this worm is falling apart, I have to fix it after every drift, make it nice and straight again. Just like that. I like that worm to be nice and straight. I don't like it all curved up and bunched up on the hook. All right, we're gonna go over it again. Gonna cast, gonna slow it down as it's hitting the water, and then immediately close my bail and start reeling, because it's coming downriver towards me and I'm getting all the slack line in the water. So I'm gonna slowly reel as it's coming down. I'm also gonna mend. Mending is essentially just picking your line up. So that was a mend. I picked my line up because it was way down here, and I mended. I pulled the line tight to the bobber just like that. That's a mend. See how my line's getting down below my bobber? Pick it up, mend to your bobber. You'll feel your line snap tight to your bobber, and you'll let it drop. That's a mend. And the reason you do that is, one, that way you're as straight to your bobber as you can be, just in case if that bobber does go down, you don't have to waste any time reeling up excess line to get there tight to set the hook. And also, if the water is pushy, it can grab your line and drag your bobber faster than the current. So I'm gonna take one more cast at this worm and then change it out. So once again, I'm gonna cast out a little further now. I slowed it down as it was casting out and it hit the water, and I closed my bail immediately, and now I'm reeling down. I'm gonna mend. I'm reeling up all that slack as it drifts down river towards me. My line is down here, my bobber's up here. I'm gonna mend it now. It got tight to the bobber, I'm gonna drop the line. I'm gonna open the bail now that it's getting down below me so I can let it line. Did another little mend, and we're just gonna let the line out, let it drift. That's the glory of this rig, is I could fish this spot right here. If it was 1 foot deep, I could go 1 foot down to my split shot and drag it. I want my worm kind of above the bottom, not all the way in the bottom. And it is okay if your bobber drags. I sometimes do it intentionally. Like I'll cast up into some shallow fast water and let my bobber drag for just a brief moment. That way, if it gets deep quicker, my stuff is already dragging, so that way it can get down and fish the drop off a little more effectively. There we go. You guys see that? How I set the hook there? I just tweaker reeled on them and then lifted. I didn't do none of this crazy hook set stuff. Just tweaker reel and lift. See ya. That's another thing is, for the most part, hook sets are free. So if your bobber's down, just set on it. And I make the mistake, freaking, probably daily. Bobber will go down, I'm like, I think it's bottom, so I don't set the hook, and then in hindsight, it was a fish. Step 5, close middle far. We're gonna do the close middle far. There's a nice little seam right here in close. Just gonna flop it out there. A little further than I wanted, but it's fine. And we'll drift that through. What you might have been able to see there for a second was my bobber kind of leaned to the side for a second. I might have grabbed bottom there for just a second, but that's a good detail to notice is I grabbed bottom for just a split second there. All right, cast a little further out this time. And what I'm paying attention to right now is I have not hit bottom past like this point right here. My bobbers drift through all of this and I haven't hit bottom yet. So I'm already thinking I can go deeper. So I'm gonna make couple more casts up top and then I'll go deeper. Every cast I made was further and further and further. I didn't cast to the furthest part first. I casted to the furthest part last. And I made sure I fished the close in stuff pretty good before I made a far cast. Because what might happen is if you just cast out far first, you might catch a fish out far, but you'll have to reel it through the entire hole, possibly spooking fish that are hanging out in close. So you just want to make sure you cast close first, just in case, and then work your way out. And then we're going to cast a little further. Now that I went deeper, I'm doing the same exact thing. I'm going close, middle, far, now that I'm deeper. That's what you can do. It's a good way to fish is every time you deepen up, recycle through the close, middle, far. Because there might be fish hanging close, but you might not be down to them on your first few drifts through. Every time you go a little deeper, do your close, middle, far again. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fish that backside a little bit. So I'm gonna take a handful of steps out to the river. That way I can reach the other side a little easier and my mends will be a little more effective. Rod tip high, keep my line up over the fast water. It's another good method to use is to keep your rod tip high and over the fast water, you have to mend a little less. My rod isn't quite long enough to keep it all the way over the fast water, but a high rod tip helps your mends be a little smoother as well. Now, I'm gonna fish with my feet. So instead of just letting my bobber drift way down there to be able to fish the next little section, I'm gonna fish with my feet. I'm gonna reel up, I'm gonna move down. That way I can get a really good angle on it. So if I do hook a fish, I have a good chance of actually hooking and landing it because I had a good angle on it when I hooked it. And I'm gonna do it all over again. Now that I'm in a new section, I'm gonna do close, middle, far again. So my first drift, I'm making in close. Right there on the change of where it goes from stagnant and just not moving, I'm in the current of that spot. So I'm right on the edge of the stagnant water and I'm just drifting. So I just drifted through the close stuff, and cast just slightly further, get into like the actual current a little bit. That's a good fish. dude. Oh my gosh, dude. You gluttonous thing. Holy cow. Got a steelhead on. Dude, this rod is so bent. That's insane. That's literally insane. Oh my gosh. Holy shit. Yeah! There's another one. There he is. First fish of the day is just tearing me up, dude. See you, buddy. That's a big fish. That's a big fish. That is a big fish. Holy cow. Look at that fish.
Thanks for the fight. That was awesome. See ya.
Oh my gosh! Yes! Holy cow! Thank you guys so much for watching this how-to bobber fish for river trout tutorial. There were some really good tips and tricks in here and some really good information for any of you beginners who want to get out here and just know how to do this. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time.